My name is Lisa Lavallo, and I'm the Vice President at Cox Communications. And this is the second year that I've had an opportunity to come up here and thank Voices and just share some thoughts with everyone. One can't help but sit there when you're listening to these stories reminisce about your own memories as a young person, and you find all these emotions bubbling up in you when you hear these stories. I can tell you that when I was about 8 years old, growing up in Tucson, my brother and I found a walkie-talkie in our neighborhood. We were out terrorizing our neighborhood. We found a walkie-talkie, which for the young people here is like what a cell phone was in 1975. It's a big old thing about this big, and it had a phone number engraved on it. So we raced home, because we didn't have another walkie-talkie, so what were we going to do with it, right? Because we probably would have kept it and never called the number. We raced home, and we called this phone number, and this man answered, and my brother said, "We found your walkie-talkie." Well, he was the owner of De Anza Drive-In, and my family had a lifetime pass to De Anza Drive-In for 25 years. So it's been very hard on us losing the De Anza Drive-In, but for my little sister who we used to sneak in, she was able, of course, to be seen since about 1975 going forward. I also went through a shoplifting phase. I was shoplifting candles. I don't know why, but for some reason I wanted candles. And one day I figured that my mother was going to figure out that I was shoplifting candles, and so I ate them. I was little, like, I don't know, 13 maybe, something like that. It was after the walkie-talkie thing, you know, now I was stealing candles. And so I ate them, and then of course I got really sick, and I had to go to TMC, and then I had to out myself that I was a shoplifter of candles. But pretty much the visit to the hospital was the only disciplining I received. And I would like to tell Mr., I had to write your name down because it was a long name, Mr. De La Peña Montero, that Cox is looking for a man like you. So, when you become old enough to drive a car, you let us know you can drive a truck for Cox and fix a lot of cable out there for lots and lots of money.
I will.
And awards and a plaque, we can do that for you as well. But I have to say the thing that was really percolating in me when I was listening was an experience that I had when I was a freshman in college. I went to the University of Arizona, and like all freshmen at U of A, I was basically forced to go to English 101. All freshmen must run the gauntlet of English 101, and the urban legend is that 50% of us would fail the course and have to take it over the summer, which to me at the time sounded like, you know, HE double toothpicks. So I went to this English class as a freshman, and the reason 50% of kids fail freshman English at the U of A is because they're not prepared. They're not prepared for the rigor that's required to get through these courses. Of course, these kids at Voices will be prepared, and they will pass with flying colors their freshman, sophomore, junior, senior English graduate classes, and so forth. I was not a lucky kid that went to Voices, so I was pretty freaked out about my freshman English class. So I went to class, and the first day the professor took our attendance, and then she said to us, "I would like all of you to take out a blank piece of paper and a pen, and I'd like you for 10 minutes just to start writing." So we freshmen took out a piece of paper and a pen, and we sat there looking at each other. And the professor sees us sitting there perplexed about what we're supposed to be doing, and she said, "I want you to write down what you're thinking for the next 10 minutes. Free write." So I wrote, "This is so stupid. What are we supposed to do? Where's my syllabus? I'm going to flunk this course." So every single class period, my freshman year in freshman 101 English, this professor asked us to free write, to take out a blank piece of paper and a pen, and every class before we got started, we wrote what we were thinking. About halfway through the semester, I had an epiphany that had changed my life and changed my time at the university, and I think continues to change my experience in the world, and I think these young people are doing that now much earlier than I did at the U of A. They are building the most important tactile skills that someone can have, which is the ability to communicate what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what your needs are. And so what this does, and what this did for me as a young person, was it developed a lot of courage in me to say what I wanted to say and to articulate it in a public way. And once you build courage, then you have leadership skills. And this is what we need in our society, our leaders. Leaders speak up, they take positions, they express themselves, and they do it in a public forum. And so we are so proud at Cox, and I would like to say on behalf of our company and our 450 employees who love this program and are so proud of what you're doing and so proud to be associated with the Voices program, we greatly appreciate the work of your board, with your sponsors and all the individuals that have given to this program, and for allowing me to come up here every year and reminisce with you. We thank you for all you're doing and are so proud of your accomplishments. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark McLemore from KUAZ Radio, where I've had the joy of being able to work with the Voices youth over the last year as we produce these stories, along with our assistant producer, Matt Felix, who's not here tonight, but Matt put that together. And I just want to elaborate on that end, by the way. When I asked Val, was there anything that grosses you out? And she said, do you mean like poop? And I said, well, does poop gross you out? And she said, no. So that was that. I think that it's impossible to hear these stories without connecting with yourself when you were the age of these youth. Thinking about what it was like in your mid and late teens, how difficult a path that many of us had to walk. And Voices is one way that they make that path easier for these kids. You know, Katie talked about wanting to hang out with the cool kids. I think you made it already. We all know about budget cuts in education, art programs, music programs. People, like, what are those anymore? You know, are there any left? Voices provides not only training in these areas for these kids, but it helps them to find themselves and helps them to find out what they have to say to the world. It's like what Felix said in his opening comments when he said, it's amazing what teenagers can do if you trust them. And Voices is about that trust, you know, and these kids are really feeling it, because doing the story about shoplifting, for instance, or any of these really reveal inner secrets and inner parts of these kids' psyches and their mind and their being. And Voices is a way of getting those stories out to be shared with the community at large in Tucson, or even the world, something that these kids wouldn't have. I mean, do you guys think Pedro would have put a boombox on his head if it wasn't for Voices? Maybe. I don't know him that well. Actually, we've never met. But, so, you know, when you came in, you got the brochure, you got the little flyer, and inside of it is an envelope. And we'd like to ask you right now to think a moment about how much you would have paid to have an experience like Voices in your life when you were their age, and to make a contribution to keep this program alive. Stephanie mentioned publishers are getting hit hard, after school and arts programs are getting hit hard as well, and Voices is taking a double punch from that. So right now, please take a moment, take out that envelope, and make a contribution to Voices. If you can't right now, take the envelope home with you and send it in to them, because they need to hear back from the community at large that this work is as important as it is. When I was preparing to come up here, I asked Stephanie, how far would you have to go to find another program like Voices? Because I wasn't sure. I thought, man, maybe every state's got a Voices. We don't know of any other program like Voices anywhere in the world. It's a unique and wonderful thing that we have in our community. So please right now, just take a moment to support it and, you know, show these kids that you heard their stories, you heard their voice, and you listened, because that's very, very important to them, and it's important to all of us.
Thank you so much for coming.